Hello to this beautiful group of spirited people who have joined me maybe for the first time, maybe not. Maybe you've been checking in every week to learn more about all of our inner goddess teams. We all have these archetypes of the divine feminine that live within us. And I'm going to tell you about the one today in just a minute. I missed doing this with you last week. I was on vacation in Florida, and interestingly enough, and you'll see in the mythology that I'm going to talk about today, um, I I took pictures of spider webs, gorgeous spider webs. You can see them on, I think, on my personal page on Facebook, which is just Deborah Roth. I think there's a link for that somewhere in the description under this video. And I will also say, please, I do full moon meditations every month. I'm on hiatus right now from my new moon circles that I've been doing for the last 20 years because I just got tired of Zooming, and hopefully we can be live in the next couple months. But you'll find out about all that kind of stuff on my business Facebook page, Spirited Living with Deborah Roth. Sign up for my newsletter at spiritedliving.com. And you'll get all kinds of goodies. And of course, if you like what you see here today, please do subscribe and give me some comments and some of your favorite goddesses so I can be sure to highlight them too. It's always just an extraordinary journey for me. So many, I mean, I've heard of, obviously, at least a little bit of most of the goddesses that I highlight here, but even the ones that I thought I knew well, I'm just learning so much, and I hope it's magical and empowering and wonderful for you to hear about them too, as much fun as it is for me to do these Inner Goddess Team videos. So if you want to know more about, I used to give this whole long introduction, and my wonderful web goddess encouraged me to just do a separate video that talked about just what the divine feminine is, who our inner goddess team is, why it's important to us. And you'll see on the upper right corner of this video, there's a little eye that you can click that will take you right to a separate short video that describes all of that. And I'm told that she, my magical web goddess, has also put a link at the end of this video if you want to learn more about what the divine feminine is about, who our inner goddess team is. So, all of that said, this week we are going to be looking at the Roman goddess Minerva, and that was actually a request from one of our community, one of our Spirited Living Inner Goddess Team community folks. And I'd always known her. I'd always connected more deeply with Athena, who is the Greek goddess, who was the one, Minerva was kind of the goddess of the conquerors, which often happens. She's the counterpart. Minerva is the counterpart to Athena, and much of their symbolism is similar. They both are shown wearing armor. They're both shown oftentimes with, oh my goodness, I don't have an image of Minerva. You're going to have to look her up. Usually I wave a picture of her. She's shown with an owl, like the Greek goddess Athena. And for all of that, they're separate in some important ways. Minerva is also the goddess of the arts and of weaving and spinning. And one of her wonderful myths, which I'm going to share with you, which was so relevant to me with my fascination with spider webs, and seeing several gorgeous ones on our trip last week. Weaving, spinning, later on war, just in wisdom. I mean, that's the owl. That's also similar to Athena. What I'm going to focus on today in terms of what you can take away, I mean, all of those, wisdom, we can always use more divinely feminine wisdom. But what I'll encourage you to do today, hearing a little bit more about her and who she was, is to think about how you can, what crafts, and you may think you're the least artistic person you know, but we all have done something crafty, something artistic. Even if it's just one of those great little pot holder, woven pot holder things. My granddaughters have made them for me. My earrings are woven beads, which I did once, and a very intricate bracelet, which I won't do again because my eyes couldn't handle it. I also have behind, and I know I'm tickling you a little bit. I have, I don't know if you can't really, I don't think you can see it, but it's a dream catcher web, spider web, little tiny earrings that I got that also is evocative of the whole spider theme that will, I'll bring up with you today with Minerva. So she was considered, I don't know if I get the name right. Let's see. She was considered the part of the Capitoline triad, along with which were the three kind of supreme rulers of Rome, along with Jupiter, who was considered her father, and Juno. She, like Athena, was thought to be, her myth is that she was born from the head, and there's a whole thing around that too, which I won't go into, from the head of Jupiter, who's the Greek counterpart of Zeus, and you've probably heard that about Athena springing forth from the head of Zeus. And the reason that we're highlighting her this week is that there was a 5-day, anywhere from 1 to 5, the famous Roman poet Ovid talked about it being a 5-day thing. But this is another one I have to make sure I get the pronunciation right. Quinquatria, quint being 5, was a celebration of either, and historically, mythologically, we're not entirely sure, which was either the celebration of her birthday, of Minerva's birthday, or else the time when her temple was consecrated, her main temple was consecrated. Either way, it was a time for great celebration, and this is where the artist's stuff comes in, that artisans would show their wares, over this period of time, and they would have competitions of who is the most extraordinary artisan, weaver, of weaving and spinning. And that's where the myth that I've certainly heard of, and maybe you have too, one of the big myths about Minerva comes from, again, I want to make sure I get her name right, because I was calling her something else when I was talking to myself about it. Arachne, who was a young girl who was a wonderful spinner. She wove beautiful tapestries, and she bragged that she could weave even a more beautiful tapestry than Minerva, who was the goddess of weaving and spinning. Minerva heard that, and of course, these gods aren't very enlightened, was very jealous to hear that some human would say that. So she challenged her to a competition, and Minerva produced this exquisite, of course, tapestry that showed herself winning the competition, real subtle, with details of mortal humans being punished by the gods for their hubris. So warning, Arachne, probably not a good thing for you to challenge this goddess. But then Arachne also produced a beautiful, stunning tapestry that showed mythological scenes where the gods had used deceit to trick innocent mortals. Now, Minerva could really acknowledge that this was an exquisite tapestry that Arachne had created. However, she still named herself the winner. Of course, these gods were very vain. And she turned Arachne, listen to that, to the origins of that word, into a spider. Spiders weave and webs. So, arachnids are what we call spiders. It's all from that same root word. So Arachne spends the rest of her life spinning and weaving because she's such a wonderful spinner and weaver. So it's kind of a cautionary note, obviously, about challenging the gods with, in hubris, thinking that you're better than the gods. So that's probably the most familiar myth that we hear about Minerva and Arachne, the origin of Arachnids. Let's see. They had. The artisans also highlighted other crafts like shoemaking and painting and sculpting. It was, and the other thing that happened during this time is that women were accustomed to, and this probably happened for a lot of kind of women-oriented celebrations, to consult with fortune tellers and divination experts on this day. It was celebrated all over, and what else did I want to tell you about it? And there would be contests not only of handicrafts, but also of orators and poets. So Minerva is very much about, even though you got to be careful not to cross her, this celebration, and of course, which you can do any time of year, celebrate your own craftiness, your own ability to create beautiful words, music, tapestries, potholders, whatever artisan things that you want to create. So I invite you to play with that, not just this week, during the Quinquatria, there we go, from March 19th to March 23rd, but really call on her when you need to be reminded to tap into your own creativity. None of this, oh, I'm not creative, I can't do that kind of thing. She reminds us that we all have that capacity within us. So the chant I would love to share with you, and I'm pretty sure I've done it, I didn't check to see, with other weaver goddesses. Ishkel comes to mind, who's a Mayan goddess who sits at her loom. And this one is just a beautiful weaving chant, and it goes like this. We are the flow, we are the ebb, we are the weavers, we are the web. We are the flow, we are the ebb, we are the weavers, we are the web. And then if you get more than one person, I can't do them both, the counterpoint to that is, so they weave together, strand by strand, hand over hand, thread by thread, we weave the web. We are the flow, we are the ebb, we are the weavers, we are the web. We are the flow, we are the ebb, we are the weavers, we are the web. Strand by strand, hand over hand, thread by thread, we weave the web. So go forth in this week of the celebration of our creativity and artistry, or any time in the year, and chant while you create some beautiful creation for yourself. Thanks for joining me, and hope to see you back here next week. Deborah Roth from Spirited Living. Engage with your inner goddess team. Embody some special ones for yourself this week. Bye for now.